Hello and welcome to the R2AK Podcast. I am Jesse, the race boss. I will be your host in this journey through teams. Thanks for coming back. We weren't here last week. No good excuse. There was just too much to do, people. There is a lot spinning right now, for we are officially less than 2 months away from the race start on June 14th, 5 a.m., Port Townsend. Be here. When you do come, you're going to see the largest race to Alaska yet. We are going to have somewhere around 70 teams at the start line, which kind of blows the past out of the water. If you would like to be on our team, making all of that good content happen, yes, we do have a job opening. We are looking for a social media specialist. This is not only for Race to Alaska, but the entire Northwest Maritime organization. But the first cool thing you get to do is come out with Race to Alaska, tell stories, probably ride on some boats, maybe go to Ketchikan. We'll see. If you want to learn more about that job, go to nwmaritime.org, navigate to the job section. I trust you can do that, and apply. All right, first team in this week's episode. You know them, you love them. They are back after being one of the teams who busted a Corsair, of which there are so many. This is Team Dogsmile Adventures, interviewed by the famous Nate and Cooper Rooks of 2016 Team Bunny Whaler.
We're super excited to. I asked Nate to join me because we're hanging out here on an island, and it felt kind of weird since we did R2AK together. We might as well do anything related to R2AK together too. But John, I've met you a few times, at the Blazer parties or Washington 360 and stuff, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about what you're doing this year. I want to talk about your organization and the focus beyond just going on a sailboat race that you guys have. And sort of how your experiences. Now you guys have done R2AK once, or what's your past history with the race?
We made it about midway up the Grenville Channel in 23, and had suffered some pretty significant boat damage, and had to bail out south back to Bella Bella, and then there was a whole adventure involved with getting the boat home.
We remember coming around Cape Caution and being like, we are either going to finish or never get our boat home.
Yeah, right. It's a pain. As soon as you get north, it's a thing to get home for sure.
So is that the main drive for doing R2AK this year, is to finish unfinished business?
I mean, the main drive to do R2AK is just because it's a lot of fun and we want to do R2AK. But finishing for sure, yeah, very, definitely want to do all of R2AK. Still haven't been to Alaska, so got close, but not quite there.
Awesome. Same boat as last time?
Yep, same boat. She's all fixed. Hopefully, hopefully we won't break anything, but if we do break something, it should be something different at least.
What broke, and what have you done to make it?
So we delaminated our forward bulkhead from the hull, kind of ripped it loose from floor to ceiling on the starboard side. And because of the way a ferry or trimaran is put together, there's basically, because they fold, obviously. So when you unfold them, there's the lower folding strut. It's basically a big chunk of aluminum that comes off the bottom of the beam and bolts to the side of the hull. And that's your tension member that keeps the boat from, coming apart when you're all heeled over and loaded up. And it, goes down and it bolts through the hole right where the hole attaches to the bulkhead. So the bulkhead is what keeps everything together, right? Since the hull of the boat doesn't have a lot of rigidity to it. And we just put a lot of strain on that joint and just about half the tabbing delaminated and about half of it just straight up ripped, just failed the tabbing. Um, just kind of the consequence of using a boat, outside of its design conditions really for a long time. It was a lot of upwind, a lot of, square, not big waves really, but just that nasty square chop that you get, going up the course. And yeah, so it was
Is it
unfortunate.
just you two guys, or what's the team makeup?
So it's me, John, Terry Brenton, and Jay Taft. So four total. We just have two of us here today, though.
Is that the same as last time?
One Terry's new. We had a new fourth guy this year. But we've sailed and raced with him, so he's up to speed.
What's your human power like?
We have two pedal drives that we built for. We originally planned to do R2AK in 20, I guess it was 21 was the first Washington 360 year. And then of course there was no R2AK, so we do Washington 360. And so yeah, two pedal drives, and so thankfully we've had, at this point, two Washington 360s and 80% of an R2AK to kind of troubleshoot them. Which is good because we broke both of them in last year's Washington 360. I was getting real confident that they were bulletproof, and it turns out there were some fatigue issues. So we're fixing those.
Well, one of the things that I think is so cool, and this is a quote from Bill from Team Excellent Adventure, but one of the things that is so cool about R2AK is that there's a high chance of failure. And I think the statistics are somewhere around 50% for all of the different R2AK. And one of the other cool things is you never know what the conditions are going to be like. I have had a couple of experiences talking with teams in the past who basically said, we're going to do it in 7 days, and did it in 7 days. Do you have a goal time, or, like based on the conditions that you're hoping for, how fast you would hope to complete it?
I mean, that's the first thing that people always ask, especially non-sailors, about sailboat racing, is how long it's going to take. And it's so dependent on weather. I think for our boat, given, very favorable conditions, I think it could be done in 5 days. I think that given, you know, not very much wind or conditions that were such that we had to, hide out for a while, it could take a lot longer. My guess is it'll take us between 5 and 8 days. But I could be way off. What do you think? You got anything to add to that one, John?
Yeah, well, I think the limiting factor is water, right? Is capacity. And so I think last year, or 2 years ago, whenever we did it, we had, 7 or 8 days worth of water on board. And that water ran out when we got back to Bella Bella. I remember we were right down there, so that's definitely a limiting factor for us. Food wise, we're pretty fortunate. So our crew member Terry Brenton, who is he's the coordinator of the outdoor pursuits program at North Idaho College in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. They have a commercial freeze dryer, so they make their own backpacking food and so on for their student led trips and so on. And so we freeze dry our own stuff, which is far superior to anything coming out of a package because we don't have all the sodium. So the shelf life of our stuff isn't as long, but the quality is much higher. So we're going to be freeze drying a lot of wild game. I'm a hunter, and so we have elk chili and moose sausage and stuff like that. So we've got good solid protein coming our way, and we do a jet boil, which is how we do a hot food, and we think that it's an endurance race as much as anything. And so nutrition's a huge factor. If we don't keep our energy levels up, we make mistakes. And and so I think we really put the time in on the front end. So we'll be making a pile of freeze-dried meals, and in addition to lots of snacks. And we always have a yum yum bag, like little chocolate bits that come out when it's raining or morale is low. Bring that out. But yeah, the freeze dryer at North Idaho College is it's part of our shore team, which is huge.
Makes for some pretty good food.
Nice.
What brought you guys from Idaho to R2AK in the first place, Gabe? You said even just doing it again, so I mean, the experience is awesome. It's not wanting to win is kind of crucial for this race, but yeah, what brought you guys from Idaho out here to want to do the Inside Passage in a race?
Oh, I mean, well, you said not. I mean, we want to win. It's
Okay.
highly unlikely. We want to. We really want to. Just get that straight. But we shouldn't, but we'd like to. Um, no, I think honestly, I think I stumbled across my I kind of came to sailing. John's been sailing forever, but I kind of came to sailing pretty late. Basically just decided that we have a bunch of really nice lakes here in North Idaho, and finally got a real job and thought, man, maybe I could buy a boat. And decided, man, maybe I should, sailboats look cool. So I bought a McGregor 26 with the big old 50 horsepower outboard, and learned how to sail, and pretty quickly figured out that I wanted something that sailed better. And about the same time, honestly think I just stumbled across everyone who's interested in R2AK has probably seen Go Fast, Go North. The Canadian dudes, it's about the 16 race, and this Canadian crew on an Olson made just a really cool movie. I really enjoyed it. And I think I just stumbled across that, and I was like, okay, well, now, obviously got to do this. So I tossed around the idea of doing it on the McGregor, and decided that wasn't a great idea, and so started shopping around for, a boat that it had to be trailerable because I live inland. And it had to be seaworthy enough to do R2AK, and I kind of stumbled into the Farrier trimaran, wormhole, and yeah, bought the boat. And John and I I've known John kind of casually for a long time, but it just kind of got into sailing, and yeah, just he actually took me out on his boat early on in this whole thing, and I think I just asked him like, "Hey man, have you ever heard of R2AK? Because I want to do it." And he was all in, and yeah, I'm fortunate. We've got a really good group of guys that always show up for every race and have a great time, and so it's yeah, it's been a really good good program all the way around.
Well, it seems like a great time to kind of take a few steps backward and talk about Dogsmile in general. What's the organization? How did it start? How has it changed over time? Those are things that I'm wondering.
Right on. Yeah, thanks, Coop. I think, I know that we're not terribly unique in this, but the fact that we get to not only do this race, but have an ulterior motive, which is to raise awareness for our mission back here. And I just want to start out before I get into it by saying thank you to you guys, to the Northwest Maritime Center, to everybody that's associated with this thing. This isn't a new concept. People ride their bike across America, or they run 100 miles, or they complete some sort of spectacle in order to draw attention to their mission, right? And when I was first launching Dogsmile as a therapeutic sailing program, I was like, well, what could we do? What could we do to draw attention to our little thing we're trying to do on a lake in North Idaho? And around the same time, Gabe and I were going out for a sunset sail, and he leans over. He's like, "You ever heard of the Race to Alaska?" And I was like, "Oh, yes, here we go. Perfect." And so it's just been an incredible thing. And, when you're starting a nonprofit, I think one of the biggest barriers is just letting people know that you exist, like that you're there at all. And the Race to Alaska, you guys do such an incredible job with media and telling the stories, and it's funny. I mean, the writing is hilarious, and I just love the satire, but also the fact that the Race to Alaska is no joke. Like, it's the real thing. And so there's this beautiful combination, and it's also just incredibly wholesome, being that it's a product of the Northwest Maritime Center, which is a gold standard sailing nonprofit in America. I mean, it's incredible. And so for the opportunity for us to hitch our wagon to that we're just so grateful. The first time we did the race, our following went up 400%. And our, my board member at the time, who's in media, she said, John, you can't buy that. That's not for sale. You have to do something. And it was just such a huge win for us. And so we're just excited to keep that going. Dogsmile Adventures is a therapeutic sailing program. We I modeled this program after equine therapy programs. Basically, I copied the website of a couple different equine programs. I took the horse out and I put the sailboat in, and I said, let's use sailboats to help people feel better. Like Gabe said, I've been sailing a long time. I was an instructor for years, and I worked on charter boats in different parts of the world, and I kind of burned out. 2019, 2020 really just went down in flames. And I came out of it with just this idea of like, I'm so privileged to get to spend so much of my time on sailboats. I want to do something with it that matters. I want to do something that has a positive impact beyond taking people on vacation. And that's where this was really born. And I went on an epic adventure, hauled my J105 clear from Grenada to Bayview, Idaho in the spring of 2020, in the middle of lockdown. There's a great On the Wind podcast about that story. We won't get into that, but it was a hell of a journey. 24,000 miles by land, air, and sea during a time when most of my friends and family didn't leave their house. I hauled that boat up there, and in the meantime, we launched a charity and did a GoFundMe to get started. And I'm super proud. We're going into our 6th season, providing opportunities for people to go sailing to feel better. I work with a lot of different folks. I work with veterans. I work with people with disabilities, both physical and mental challenges. Work with lots of different youth groups, domestic refuge programs, women's shelters, foster homes, senior centers, just pretty much anybody that wants to come out sailing and think it might help them out. Like, I'll take them out. And yeah, we've run 3,500 programs. I mean, there's been a lot of folks get out. We run 100 days plus a summer. Now it's gotten pretty, I've created a monster is really what's happened. And but it's been a beautiful project, and it's consumed my life in the best possible way, given me a tremendous amount of purpose. And I'm just really, really proud that, we're able to go and do this race with that in our spirit. And we work hard. We sail as hard as we can the whole time. But there's something underneath it. There's a little more push in our group. And I am a firm believer that intention of using this spectacle to draw awareness to our mission is helping us. It helps us do better. And, in 23, when we didn't make it, we made a film that's on YouTube. It's called Success, A Race to Alaska Story, which is ironic because we didn't make it. And so we dive into that. And so what does it mean to succeed? What does it mean to win? And, the reality is our film, I don't think would have been as good if we had finished the race. And now it's kind of become our Everest. It's like, all right, we're going back to do it again. And we can't wait to just to promote it and be able to share our stories. And, Race to Alaska is an international phenomena. And so it, again, serves this great purpose for our nonprofit mission to let people know what we're doing back here with sailboats, try to make people feel better.
That's so cool. I think so often when people get like burned out in their life is revolving around an activity, they delete the activity instead of changing how they're doing it. And I really like the way that you described getting fed up with how you were sailing, and that you, instead of like giving up on sailing and just shifting to something totally different, which honestly, my impression is in Idaho, that might be easier than near the saltwater, but to take it and make it into something that's more about the people. That is something that Nate and I have said for the past decade since doing R2AK, is that it's, of course, the pursuit of being on the water and making good decisions when you're in challenging situations and stuff. That's a big part of it for sure. But really, it's about the people that you meet along the way. It's about the people that you meet at the functions that the Northwest Maritime Center and R2AK Washington 360, 70, 48, all these different things that are ways for people to push themselves, but at the same time, it's about the people. At least I think a lot of people I think would agree that that's like the glue that brings together the whole thing. And I really, really appreciate the way that you described the Dogsmile Adventures organization and what a powerful way to connect with people.
Right on. Yeah, it is all about the people, right? I mean, along the way that we get to encounter and help or race with or race against or whatever we're doing, but we're all, held together by fooling around on boats, and trying to make it, to on some crazy race course or upwind or some passage, or we're sailing here on the lake. It doesn't matter, right? We all speak that language and share that experience. And I think that, you know, it's a thing that gives me hope. It's something I hold on to really tightly, especially right now in a time where it's pretty easy to be hopeless right now. There's a lot of things we could focus on that bring us down, and sailing is not one of them. And especially sailing in something as harebrained as the Race to Alaska, with the trying to draw attention to a charity in Idaho, like that just it's the opposite, and it brings me so much joy and hope and purpose and all those things that we need to press on when things get hard.
Awesome. Well, I think a big part of that is the like have being devoted to it in a way where you have to like plan the food, get the boat to the start line and all the preparation that that takes. But also just having that like that focus towards something in the future can be give you a lot of hope. And I hope that yeah, I hope that the rest of the preparation continues to go well, and we are going to be cheering you on for sure the whole way. Um, what else? How are you going to get the boat back? What's the plan for that? Is there a different crew, or are you guys going to do it? What's the plan?
So the plan is the same as, I mean, hopefully it actually happens this time. The same plan as last time. So we'll race the boat up, hopefully all the way to Alaska this time. Ship a pallet of coolers and anchors and outboards and all the junk I've stripped off the boat, that dinghies, maybe a shrimp, crab pots. Ship all that stuff up on a barge to Ketchikan, and we after we hopefully reach Ketchikan, John, Terry, and Jay will fly home, and my wife will fly up. She's a school teacher, so she'll be getting out of school just shortly after we start the race. So she'll fly up, and we'll convert Mahana from a race boat to a cruising boat, and we'll sail her home. Which I'm almost as excited about as the race, because it's unbelievably beautiful up there. I'd never been up the north, the coast of BC until our last race attempt. And it's gorgeous. It's probably as close to an untouched, pristine environment as you're going to find. I mean, you could spend a lifetime exploring it, and racing up it is awesome. I love racing. I love going 24 hours a day. But you go by a bunch of it in the dark, and you don't get to check all the little coves and stuff out. So hopefully we'll get to do, I mean, it's still, I think we're planning on 3 weeks to get home, which is still, covering some ground. But just try and, see as much as we can on the way back, and get the boat back safely. Um, so yeah, that's the plan for getting her home. Just sail her all the way back to Port Townsend and put her on the trailer and haul her back to Idaho.
When you guys broke the boat in Grenville, was that the year that it was pretty much for the first like 10 days just howling out of the north?
Oh yeah. Yep. It was just, we got the first night of the race, we ran under spinnaker almost all night. Um, and then after that, yeah, I think it was basically hard on the wind, reefed down a lot, which was still overpowered for a good portion of it, for pretty much the rest of the race. Um, which is not what lightweight trimarans like to do. It does it well. The boat goes upwind well, like the idea that multi-hulls don't go upwind really isn't true. We go up, we do, but I think the stresses on the boat pounding into that short, steep chop that you get, especially in like the Johnstone Strait, is just it's just there's a lot of twisting and racking forces on the boat that I think you don't get with a mono. Um, so yeah, it was just tough conditions. And borne out by the fact that there were several teams, quite a few teams chose to pull over and wait it out, which we clearly should have done. Probably took a few. There's that balance between being competitive and pushing hard and also trying not to get, into a bad situation. And I pushed that balance too far in the, towards the competitive side of things. That, definitely going to be a little more careful this time around, trying not to put us in a bad spot. The reality is we were just having fun. I mean, it was tough conditions, but it was fun. Like I love getting, having a group of friends and racing a sailboat around the clock, is probably one of the most, as far as like purity of existence, um, that's one of the greatest things I've done, because that's just all you're doing. We run 4-hour shifts, and you get up and you make the boat go as fast as you can for 4 hours, and then you go down below and you pound some food and you get as much sleep as you can, and you get up and get your fallies back on, and you're back on deck 4 hours later. And just that's what life is. You just do that until you get there, which is super fun. Um, but probably pushed it a little too hard. Like in hindsight, there were a number of times that I remember being like, man, I can't believe the boat's taking this. You know, which would have been, and it's a great boat, and I've continued to push it harder and harder the longer I've been sailing it, and it's taken it. But in hindsight, when you have that thought, that should have been the cue that we were doing something that wasn't a great idea. Um,
So had you planned to go up Grenville, or was that a decision based on the northerly conditions?
no, so we were going up Principe Channel, and that last night we were crossing, I think it's Camino Sound, and it was getting dark and the conditions were getting worse, and we were headed for Principe Channel. Um, and generally, as you're going up there, like Camino Sound is open to the Pacific, so you get a lot of wave action, and so basically making for the channel and thinking like, okay, we're gonna make the channel, and the wave state's gonna calm down at least, and probably get some shelter from the wind. Because most of the islands up there are the tops of submerged mountains, and if you get on the lee of one, you catch quite a bit of shelter. But that first island on to the west of Principe Channel there, I can't remember what it's called. Um, Kind of a failure to study the course well enough on my part, because it turns out that island is just a bunch of low-lying rocks, more or less. It doesn't, so we didn't really get any shelter, and they just kept getting worse, and so we're tacking up, the channel, and it got bad enough that, and in hindsight, definitely should have turned the boat around. It's that what do they call that? What am I looking for, John?
Sunk cost fallacy, man.
Sunk cost
God,
fallacy.
that's a heuristic trap that kills a lot of people. Yep.
Right. Sunk cost fallacy. We worked so hard to get where we were that turning around and going back south seemed like too big of a price to pay, but in hindsight, it's absolutely what we should have done. Um, so we fought our way up and got it ducked inland at the first place we could, which was the Otter Passage, which was one of the coolest experiences of the whole race, because we went from screaming wind, not really happy about where we were. We all put dry suits on, which is the fact that seemed like a good idea is a pretty good sign we shouldn't have been where we were. And as soon as we ducked into Otter Channel and got in the lee of a real island, all of a sudden the wind just just went away. It was like we get so used to that screaming noise and even realize how loud it is until it goes away. And just turned into the mouth of the channel, and you could all of a sudden you could hear whales breathing just all around us. And not only could you hear them, like the spout is pretty loud, but you could hear, and it's pitch dark. You can't see anything, right? We're just flying on the GPS. And you could hear, I remember vividly that you could hear this loud spouting noise, and then you'd hear this giant inhalation, which I've never heard before. And you knew they were just right there, but you couldn't see them. And it was just the coolest thing. Um, Especially after the just being, kind of scared and unhappy for hours before that. And so we pulled up, we, got into the lee of the island, and we just reached back and forth for a couple hours until it got light. And we were just at this point all really smoked. And we actually tried, there's two little bays right there. And we tried to anchor, we dropped anchor, I think 3 times, couldn't get it to stick. And so we're trying to figure out, okay, we got to find a better anchorage. And we found one on, was it Gill Island, John?
Yeah.
Or Finn Island, Finn Island.
I don't know.
Finn, Gill's where we went after we broke the boat. So we found an anchorage. We're like, okay, let's go to this anchorage, right? And well, first we tried to go back out. It got light, and we tried to go back out, and it was even worse. It was even worse in daylight than it had been in the dark. And we were like, nope, we can't go back out here. This is, we're gonna get hurt. And so we went back in, and then we're like, okay, let's go try this anchorage on Finn Island. We start heading for Finn Island, and then I think it was John is looking at the chart, and he's like, well, what's this? Grenville Channel. None of us had ever heard of the Grenville Channel. And it's like, well, it's, we're headed over that way anyway. Like, let's look at it and see. And we hit the mouth of the Grenville Channel, and it was a gorgeous sunny day at this point, and it was awesome. It was still howling windy, but it was flat water, and it was really the wave state that was killing us. The Grenville Channel, you should look, if you've never looked at it on a map, is crazy. It's just this dead straight crack in the mountains that's like, half to a quarter mile wide and like 300 plus feet deep. And so it doesn't,
40 miles long straight.
yeah, it's nuts. It's a crazy geological feature, and it's super pretty. But it also, if you look at it, it's the shape of a venturi. And it's a little bigger on the ends and a little narrower in the middle. And I think that's exactly what it acts like. And so we were tacking into this thing, and we must have tacked, I think we counted it up. We were 90 plus tacks deep. And the only place, and it just kept getting windier and windier, and the current was against us. And so we reached a point where we were doing, 7-8 knots of water speed, but we were tacking in the exact same spot every time. We were just on a treadmill. Overpowered, reefed down as far as we could go, still overpowered. And again, the idea of turning back seemed pretty distasteful because we'd worked really hard to get where we were. And there's this little inlet on the east side of the channel, and we were maybe a quarter mile away from it. It's the only thing in the Grenville Channel where you could possibly anchor. And it's this beautiful, I still haven't seen it, but it looks like this beautiful anchorage. So the idea was like, okay, we're just gonna ride this treadmill, and the tide was supposed to change in about an hour. And we thought, well, if the tide changes, we'll be able to make some progress, and we can get into this inlet, and we can drop anchor, and we can reevaluate. And then that's when I had actually just come off watch, and I was down below, and I was talking with Dave, who was the one team member that's not doing the race again this year. Great guy, super experienced sailor. And we were down there talking like, man, is this going to work? Are we going to get up there? And all of a sudden it was just this awful, like ripping noise. I was sitting like 2 feet away from it, and the bulkhead just ripped loose. And you can look over my shoulder, and I can see the whole every time we can see the whole flexing away from the bulkhead. And I think John was on the helm, and I just yelled out the companionway, like, turn downwind. And he just turned it downwind to get the healing forces out of the boat. And we ended up exiting the Grenville Channel. I think we were doing 16 knots under jib only, dead downwind, going back south. So it was an adventure. for sure. But so no, going up the Grenville Channel was not the plan, not at all.
We had everything you were just saying fit into our experience in a much slower boat. But yeah, basically it felt like you were in one of those infinity swimming pools and you're just tacking back and forth and back and forth and staying in the same pool.
Did you guys go up Grenville then?
We did, and
yeah.
You did? Okay.
we got our asses kicked in our fat tubby boat with lots of stuff and us. We went 12 knots after we. I don't know if it was Clue Nugget Inlet that you're talking about, but there's three. But
Okay.
we went in Clue Nugget and planed our little boat through like a 50-foot gap and then anchored in 15 feet of water and had willowaws just sending us like back and forth and back and forth. Everything you were saying, it was like these guys went up Grenville and did the same thing.
Yeah, it was gnarly. Yeah, it was gnarly. Yeah, really cool feature though. I think if yeah, I definitely want to go back through it someday, just not against the wind.
Yeah, hopefully you get to cruise it on the way home and
Exactly.
after.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, is there anything else that you would want the listening audience to know about your plans or any words of encouragement for people who might be considering doing the race?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure John will have something to add too, but yeah, I mean, words of encouragement. It was R2AK is a world-class adventure. I've been fortunate enough to be able to do some cool stuff in my life that I wanted to do, and R2AK is you know, possibly the greatest single adventure that I've ever done. Even the 80% of it that we did last time. It's a great group of people. Met a ton of cool people doing the Washington 360s and doing R2AK, and it's an amazing adventure through one of the most beautiful parts of the planet. But it's a legitimately hard thing to do. So if somebody's thinking about doing it, I would say absolutely do it. Do appreciate that it's a legitimate undertaking. You're very isolated. You need to plan on taking care of yourself. It's a long way. Um, but but absolutely, I mean, if it's something that you want to do, it's 100% worth it. It's a lot of logistics and prep and everything else, but totally worth it. How about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo all of that. I mean, life on boats has been incredibly good to me, and I would highly recommend this to anybody that's interested. You know, I was told one time at a early age to just walk down the dock and say yes. And boy, it's never led me astray. I've been on some boats I was ready to get off of, but for the most part, it's really been wildly positive. And so I think that anyone that's listening out there, like, time on boats just it's really good for us. And the friendships, the connections, the adventure, all of it is so healthy that yeah, anyone that asks me, I'm like, let's go. I'm going sailing tomorrow. And I try to pick them up and do it. And we've just seen what time on boats can do for people, and I've felt what it's done for me. And so, yeah, I would encourage anybody to go and do it. And be sure to check out Dogsmile Adventures and give us a follow and come and say hi. I can't wait to meet all the new racers and everyone. Like, it's such a cool community of people. The pre-party is like the island of misfit toys, like on steroids. Like, it's so awesome. Like, what a bunch of wingnuts. It's so cool. Like, it just can't wait to see all the familiar faces, but then meet all the new competitors and reconnect with the leadership at Northwest Maritime Center and see everybody. And so, yeah, just if you can be a part of this community as a volunteer or a racer or a tracker junkie or a fan, just being connected to this thing in any way is a positive. So do that.
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree with that. And we will be cheering for you and hopefully hanging out with you before the race, get a little partying in, send you off right. but thank you so much for sharing your story leading up to this and why you're doing this race. And we look forward to seeing you. We'll be checking the tracker as the race is actually happening, and we definitely hope to connect with you afterwards too. So thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Yeah.
See ya.
Everybody, I'm a vegetarian, and as the race boss, I travel to Ketchikan and I spend several weeks there whenever the race is running, which is wonderful. Ketchikan is so great, but twice Ketchikan has broken me of being vegetarian. A, because there are just fewer vegetables per capita in Alaska than in other places, but B, the food up there is amazing. And the thing that really broke me is the fish and chips at the Alaska Fish House. That is the place to get your fish and chips. It's a great place to hang out. It is the place where we award the $10,000 and the steak knives. It's also the host of the finish line. So when you're in Ketchikan, if you're a vegetarian, maybe stay away. But no, don't. Break your vegetarianism. Be a pescatarian. Go to the Alaska Fish House. And this summer, once again, I'm going to try my best to hold off. But don't hold your breath. Okay, next interview is Team Mad Hornblowers. Right, that's right. Hornblowers, not just Dan Culpepper of Team Hornblower 2023 and 2024. But this time he's bringing his daughter along, and they got a different boat. Listeners, be warned. This interview has bad audio. I don't know if Maddie was set up inside of a football stadium or posted up in a busy Starbucks, but yeah, it's a little hard to listen to. But you can do hard things, right? If the racers can do Race to Alaska, you can listen to some crummy audio. Liam Paris of Team Fairly Fleabag sat down across the Zoom screen with them, and here they are.
Hey.
Hey,
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
can hear you great.
Sounds good.
Liam, where are you?
All the way out in Port Townsend, actually. I got stuck down here after the race in 24. I don't know if you heard about that. I ran over a log.
Yeah, well, I've been there, done that. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
that. 23, that knocked me out because of hitting a log. That sucks. So what
Yeah.
happened with,
Can't wait for my first log.
so what happened to Finch?
Oh, I was coming back down from the race, Dan,
Yeah.
and I ran over this. It was like 3 a.m. in Johnson Strait because the tides were only going the right way at nighttime that time of year.
Of
And I
course.
ran over this like this big around, like 40
Yeah.
foot long log and completely tore off the rudder. Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, I've seen those. It's shocking how big these things are. They're like
It's
yeah. I went by one of the races. I went right by it, and I just couldn't believe it. It was just kind of like, how do these guys do it? These trimarans going 30 knots or 25 knots in the middle of the night, right? You've seen those videos, right? These people
Oh,
are
yeah.
insane.
well, even the trimaran's going 6 knots in the middle of the day, apparently.
Yeah, bang. That's all it takes. So I figure when I'm pedaling it, and we're pedaling at 1 knot, we should be okay, right?
Totally. So that's your guys' plan. You're just gonna both pedal the whole way, and then if you hit any logs,
Well, mate. Well,
We'll bring him along with us, and then we can sell the lumber at the end.
right?
It's really, the race is just it's the sideshow to our larger.
It's delivery. Yeah.
Yeah, picking up every log along the way.
Could do that.
Have you guys ever heard of the old Canadian show Beachcombers?
No.
Oh.
What is that? What is that?
So it's set on this town on the West Coast. It's all about the tiny little tugs that used to do that, like roam around the coast and like gather the logs off the
Oh,
beach and like
cool.
tow them places and sell them.
Yeah, I get that. That makes a lot of sense. I bet
There
there
we
was
go.
a lot of logs hanging up on. So maybe that's a business on the side. We could do that.
Yeah, side hustle.
Well, we are concerned because right now I'm in the midst of. I bought a recumbent bike. I have the basic chain drive of turning a 1/2-inch shaft. I've got it exiting the boat. Now I got to get it into the water and the whole 9 yards. I know you had a thing on Finch that went through the cab. What was it? Was it the cockpit sole that went straight to your old
Yeah. It went to the old inboard diesel engine prop and prop shaft, and it was incredibly inefficient.
Wait, so you used the old prop that was on there, the old bronze?
The old bronze 3-blade. Yeah, that's what I was spinning.
How did it feel on your legs? I mean, was there a lot of resistance, or was there?
So the feel was surprisingly good, and I think it was because there was all that weight and mass in the three blade bronze prop. Like
Yeah,
when you have like the high efficiency like pedal power design two blades that are made out of plastic or something,
right.
they're way easier to spin, but you kind of get this jerky motion because of like it's because there's no coasting when you're pedaling through the water.
And did you have gears when it was on the prop? Did you have an additional? Was it a 6-to-1 or something? What did you have in terms of?
It was 6-to-1, but I couldn't get there
Yeah.
with just plain old bicycle gears,
Right.
just like direct drive. So I had to do it was two sets. So I had the original crankshaft going to, it was like a back cassette, and then
Okay.
that cassette had the second chain because it was two separate gear lines, and that went down to another larger one on the shaft.
All right. Anyway, that's where we are right now. So that building a point of also thinking about, if I hit something, will it pop up, or do I need to get it on the side, or do I want it out of a solid shaft, or do I want a flexible when I exit the boat? So at this point, but this is part of the fun, right? I mean, this is everyone. There is no definitive way of doing this. All right. Everyone say, the sea cycle, everyone's using that, but no, it works on certain boats, whereas work on others. So I did want to pick your brain about that, because I know the Finch weighs it's a contested 26, right?
It's a contested 26. Yeah, it's like 5,500 pound design. Mine's probably like 6,000 plus, honestly.
Oh, makes me feel so much better. Well, I mean, our compact 19 weighs 2,000 pounds, and the boat that I had for the previous two races was that trimaran. It was Colin Angus's, right? I think it weighed like 200 pounds. It's like
nothing.
The downside of that is that when Johnstone Strait was blowing at 25 knots against the current, it was freaking terrifying. I mean, in that trimaran, it was, and that was one of the things that just kind of like, do I keep wanting to go? When I got past Port McNeil, Johnstone Strait, for those 4 days of going back and forth and being alone, was one of the big issues, because it's just you. And I realized if the boat flipped, be game over, I'd be in bad shape. So if I wanted to bail, I didn't have 10 seconds to look at the chart. It was one of those situations in which it was not a good. I should have just hunkered down someplace and waited for a few days. And I know that you did that at some point, right?
The funny thing was, I felt lame about that strategy afterwards. I was like, oh, I should have kept going, and I was like, oh, I should have punched through, but I did. There was the one day in Johnstone Strait heading north when it was 35 gusting 40, I think, blowing southbound, and the tide was going against it, and I was just like, even though the tide's going my way, I don't want any piece of that.
No, it's scary. Now imagine that in a little trimaran right next to the water. It was that I couldn't tack, by the way. I had difficulty tacking the boat into the wind, so I'd have to do these, British Navy thing where I wear the ship around kind of thing, and it was.
What I'm hearing is the only reason I'm here is because the Strait traumatized you so badly.
Yeah.
So
you need someone to bail.
I would have taken her in the trimaran then if I really wanted to scare the hell out of her. But
it sounds like you're still scaring the shit out of her. I mean,
I
how do you feel about all this, Maddie?
No, this is, I'm my father's daughter, and hearing this stuff makes me like,
yeah,
excellent.
She loves this. Yeah. The Compact 19, this other boat, it's very different. It's a very different ride. It's a monohull, and I like the idea of that. I mean, the chances of me flipping it or anything like that, it's going to come back up. Where the trimaran wasn't going to come back up. But then I have Maddie. Maddie can do all that. So I can go down below, read my book and put her on the pedals for a while. So, yeah.
Well, tell me more about that Newfoundland trip you guys were on. Like, were we talking like icebergs? Where'd you guys go? Like, that sounds like good training, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was really nice to. I've kind of been. When I was younger, I used to write, you're a kid and you get dragged places, and it's like, I'm playing rope monkey for my dad, like, going out, go, like, put out the fenders, come back here. It's like pulling the like that. And, you're a kid and you kind of are like, all I want to do is, I was a weird kid, so I'm like, all I want to do is read. And then reading becomes your job. So I'm a history grad student. And so, I've been reading literally hundreds of books the past 2 years, and all of a sudden you're sitting at your desk and you're really missing running around on deck and stubbing your toe on the cleat and all this kind of stuff. And so it's I believe I was the one, Dad, who brought up Newfoundland, or you might have brought it up, and then I was like, oh no, this is happening because I have to get out. And so the timing was difficult because it put a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah, it's probably one of the reasons I stopped in Port McNeil. I realized that it was going to take me another couple of weeks, then getting the boat back and doing all the logistics part of the whole thing like that. And for whatever it was, I mean, I dropped out for many reasons, but that was probably one of them. But still, I'm so happy I did.
Pretty much every team I talk to, there's like something about like the boat or the team or something that you're just like, I want to pick on that. I wonder if that's going to be a problem. I pretty confidently say I don't think team dynamics are going to be an issue here.
Probably not. Let's hope the boat
like
is doing just as well. So we'll take it from there. But
how is that going? I mean, 2,000 pound. Those compacts, are they like swing keel lead ballast? Like what are they?
No, it's encapsulated 2 foot. It only draws 2 feet, and it has I think of that ballast is probably 800 of the 2,000 is in the ballast. So it's a very having sailed it, I actually have sailed it before it snowed, and it's very solid. It's very stable. It's very different than the other boat was. So you can't complain. Now I don't have a wood burning fireplace like certain people did. Yeah, aboard their boats. Right, Liam? Yeah.
You have a wood burning fire. Wait, I didn't know this.
Oh yeah, a full plate steel fireplace and a tiled hearth.
My God.
Like, you know what the crazy thing is? I didn't light it once. I was so tired. Like anytime I anchored, I was like, I should light the wood stove. Just immediately passed out.
Oh, that's so funny.
Well, this was something that my dad was saying was when we were kind of going through. It's like, what are the kinds of stuff we're bringing? How are we gonna what's our routine gonna look like? And you were like, you're gonna be so tired, and it's just path of least resistance stuff of like what is gonna be the simplest and easiest stuff to prepare underway.
Right.
And so, especially with the coffee, I was like, oh, we could get a fancy coffee press. It's just like, you want to be fiddling with a coffee press? And we're like,
that's not the yacht we're on. Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens if like the worst happens? Like, what do you guys both feel about? What would you do if you're up halfway between Port Hardy and Bella Bella, and when those dangerous logs happens?
Oh, and we can't go
the
on.
Main enemy number one, the log.
Yeah.
Well, get safe. I don't really give a shit about the boat at the end of the day.
It's also, I think, and I think both of us have talked about this, that it's not, and both of us have been aware, because we talked about this when my dad did the race on his own, of like sunk cost fallacy of like, ultimately, most important thing is that you are safe. And this is going to sound so cheesy, but it's the journey, not the destination, is the focus of this. And so, already getting to be there and go out is a win. Anything we get along the way is just bonus. And so I think with that mindset, it's really important to have, because if something happens, you hit a log, you can't fix it well, when you're struggling, and you can limp up and maybe make it, but it's not worth the risk. There will always be another race, and I think it's finding that key balance between like adventure and just stupidity. There is a line somewhere, in there.
And if we can repair it, we'll repair it. I mean, at the end of the day, I brought everything with me. When the rudder broke, and it just sheared off, the rudder broke, and I was able to find a good Samaritan, picked me up, took me back to their camp. And I had fiberglass aboard the boat, and I had to repair stuff, and I repaired it next to their fire. They did the whole thing. He drove me back to the boat that was anchored and put it back on and took off again. The point is, we'll do everything we possibly can to fix the situation.
That is where I think my dad having more experience is going to be really helpful, because I think definitely I have that ambition and want to adventure. And I think I'm liable to maybe not always have the most accurate reading of stuff at times. And so this is where like I think my dad will have a final call with a lot of this stuff of like with his just like literal years of experience. Again, not calling you old, just
Thank you.
just wise.
So many years of experience.
But I'll be able to tell her, Maddie, I'll be able to say, Maddie, there's
Okay,
still
Dad.
half the boat left. We can finish this. Come on, let's go.
Would you ever do it again? Like, if you two have a great time and you go, like, would you
Yeah.
take a smaller boat, a crazier boat, a bigger boat again?
Yeah, probably. I mean, who knows? Every 2 years now. So it gives you time to kind of like contemplate. But I don't know, with 58 or 57, 58 boats, whatever, how many boats there are in a fleet right now, that's a lot. And at some point, they're going to have to be limiting the people who have done it 3 times and go, well, you had your chance, kind of thing like that. So we'll figure that out. But
And there's other adventures we've talked about and stuff
Yeah.
that we might pivot to instead, or this might be amazing and we might want to do it again and
Yeah,
do
we'll
it the
see.
same way or differently, or it just depends. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I do want to go through the Panama Canal at some point.
Yep.
That's
On the
it's a bucket
compact, right?
list.
Of course.
That Drake's Passage as well is something I want
That's
Yeah.
cool.
to. I have certain things that I would love to do, and whether that's something that I find a way to kind of get on someone's crew, and whether my dad wants to do that or whether he wants to actually have something resembling retirement, we'll see.
I'm not going to be sitting on a porch anytime soon. Got to keep doing things. But Drake Passage, the only difficulty, you got to get there. But still, or take a ride on someone else's boat. You're right. Panama Canal. That's definitely in our future. We'll do that at some point. So.
No, Instagram unfortunately has me nailed advertising-wise because I have been getting advertising for different tall-masted ships that are doing these and they're like, oh, so you can sign up as crew, and I'm sitting there at 9 p.m. in my office reading about like Cold War geopolitics, and I'm like
I hear you can do research on Cold War geopolitics on boats these days, even. So you never know.
There you go, with the beauty of modern technology. And I mean, I will be bringing my research and reading stuff while we row and do R2AK.
What?
So
You're not thinking schoolwork? That's gonna.
That's
We're gonna have to have some rules here.
Unfortunately, school's my job now, so I'll bring a little bit. And
I don't know if I don't understand the geopolitics of World War II necessarily, but still, that's okay.
Yeah.
You'll educate me.
Well, this sounds like you guys are going to have an incredible time.
We will. And so, we look forward to seeing you there. So hopefully, get your boat in the water, come along with us, bring the Pringles or whatever we need. So that'll be, that'll be awesome.
Top ramen, I'll be there.
Cheez-Its.
Top ramen.
Cheez-Its.
And Cheez-Its, yeah.
Cheez-Its? Okay.
That's the
I'm making a note
Cheez-Its.
right now, actually.
Anyway.
Well, you two, thanks so much for talking with me, eh?
Hey, thanks, Liam. It was great to reconnect, and I look forward to seeing you in 90 days. All right?
I sure as hell hope so, Dad.
All right.
And it's great to meet you as well, Maddie.
Oh, it's wonderful to meet you, and I've heard a lot about you from my dad. So I hope to see you in person and not just over Zoom. And I'm so excited to actually join R2AK as like a community as person. It's just I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome.
Take care, Liam.
Dad. Thanks, Maddie.
All right. Bye-bye. Take care.
Of course. Bye.
Apply now. No, not to race, to volunteer. That's right. Race to Alaska and 7048 both are looking for volunteers. Go to their respective websites, r2ak.com or 7048.com. See what shifts are available. See what you want to do. You can email volunteer@nwmaritime.org if you want to chat with our illustrious volunteer coordinator or just sign up for one of the available shifts. We need your help. It's a ton of fun. And you probably get a t-shirt. So that's pretty cool. The final interview today is Team Old Farts. What a name. What a name. Check these three guys out.
We're having coffee, you're having beer. It's a good blend.
I'm eating cereal, which I'm
Jim's having oatmeal
away when we start the interview, but we may have already started it, so I don't know.
We've got three guys here on Team Old Farts. Do you guys first of all want to introduce yourselves?
Well, I'm the oldest fart, so I'll start first. My name's Daryl Gray, and I live in Bellingham, Washington. And I love to be on the water. I'm at my happiest on the water. So I'm very, very excited about the race.
And calling from Croatia, I will add.
From Croatia.
That's very cool. Tom, what about you?
I am on Lemmy Island. I also love being on the water. And I hope I'm still wanting to be on the water after 3 weeks, 4 weeks. How long are we going to be underway?
Yeah.
No, I'm just, super excited. 74 days, I just calculated. I don't know if I'd have to verify that, but that seems pretty accurate till we get to off the dock.
Something like that. That seems about reasonable. And Jim?
Yeah, hey, I'm Jim Hested from Bellingham, Washington. I'm also excited. Tom, that just made me think we have like 10 items per day, and I think we'll probably get there.
That's a lot of days, if you ask me.
So basically we've got two dads here chasing their kids' legacy, and then the one guy who made the questionable decision to join them. And just so I have the story straight, so Daryl and Tom, your kids were on Team Race to Alaska in 2024, juvenile delinquents, and you guys helped them kind of put together their Race to Alaska boat. You watched them race it, and then did both of you or all three of you get aboard and then sail it back from Ketchikan? And I guess where along that way on that route did you guys decide, yeah, we should try this ourselves? It seems like there's a story, deep story there.
I think Tom and I got really excited, working on our kids' boat, and just the camaraderie and the support and the humor. It just was kind of infectious,
Daryl and I, our first date was 3 solid weeks of building a pedal drive, like nonstop. We got to know each other pretty well. And yeah, I mean, I did half that return trip with Daryl. He did the other half with his other daughter. And yeah, I think our initial idea was to maybe do it with the kids, the 4 of us, but somehow we ended up with Jim.
That's the infection part, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I guess where I was going to go start with was Tom was going to leave with me right from Ketchikan, and then he had an eye problem, and the doctor said, no, you shouldn't get on the boat. But he managed to get home and get that fixed and then meet up with me in Bella Bella. And then, I don't know, I love sailing along the BC coast. I love sailing, love being on the water. So maybe I was talking Tom into it, but it wasn't too hard, and I'm retired, so it was very easy for me. Tom's working, having to take time off work, bigger decision for him. But I think again, we were both pretty excited, and I could talk more about Jim, but I'll wait for you to ask that question.
Yeah. So did you guys start thinking about it while you were doing the pedal drive build, or did it kind of percolate later on?
I'll let you answer that, Tom. I don't know if you started thinking about it at that point, or
I don't think all I could think about was the pedal drive when we were making the pedal drive. I couldn't think about anything else. So I think it was on that return trip. It was just we were having such a good time, and it just kind of seemed like obvious, like we should do this. And our kids were beta testers, so that seemed to go okay.
They survived.
I think it's not maybe an ego thing, but like if those kids could do it, a few old farts could probably do it. I mean, how hard could it be? I mean, maybe we're going to learn that, but it was just, yeah, they did it, and they did it in better time than anybody thought. And I thought, well, what if we doubled that time? We could probably do it.
And sleep a little.
So honestly, on a scale of like lifelong dream that you really want to do this versus my kids aren't going to beat me at this, like where does this race fall for you guys?
I don't think it's I guess it wasn't a lifelong dream at all until, Willow and Bryce signed up for the race and we got involved. And then I got really intrigued about it. And then it sounded really cool and something I would love to do, but I wouldn't say it was a lifelong dream at all.
I think for me, going up the coast has been maybe not a lifelong dream, but the last, 30 years dream. I have not, I mean, I've done parts of that coast, but never that all the way. So
I would say too, our whole community in Bellingham just had such a good time following the juvenile delinquents, and it seems like everybody I know had the little app that showed their progress. And if you accidentally woke up in the middle of the night, like before you try to fall back asleep, you'd check their progress and see what happened in the last 3 hours. It was so fun. And well, not a lifelong dream, but when when Daryl and Tom asked me if I wanted to do it, I had, yeah, I just think it's such a good opportunity to break out of our daily routine. And it seems like there's not as many of these opportunities to break out of our routine. I think maybe after having raised kids, you're on this track and you kind of need to have something shake it up. And this is a good shake up, I think.
we're all recent empty nesters.
Is there some healthy competition at all to try and beat the kids' their daytime?
There's no
No,
No way.
competition, period.
Not at all.
I mean, only if we did, and then I would feel
No,
very
yeah.
competitive.
Yeah.
But that's not on my list of things to do.
If it's blowing 25 from the south the whole time, we might beat them.
We might toot our horns then. Yeah.
have the kids been giving you guys some good advice along the way? Have you found yourself saying at any point like that might have worked for a boat of teenagers, but maybe not us old farts?
I'm not an old fart, by the way. Just
Oh
to
yeah, Tom.
clarify.
Yeah, he I had to pick a name just to get the application as fast as I could, and I grabbed one. But yeah, Tom isn't officially an old fart, and Jim's just on the edge. So I just grabbed a name, but I feel like an old fart, and I don't know if you've had advice, Tom. I know that Willow is always interested to talk about it and what we're gonna do and stuff, and I think Bryce has offered to help work on the boat. Willow's offered to help work on the boat. They're both very busy people, so we'll see whether that comes to pass.
Free opportunity.
Yeah,
I asked
Willow
Bryce.
is very excited that I'm doing the race, so I'm excited that she's excited and that we'll be able to share some good stories.
That's super cool. She hasn't her Willow or Bryce haven't tried to talk you guys out of it at all. They supportive and 100%.
Yeah. I think what about you, Tom? I think Willow's not. Yeah, she hasn't never said you shouldn't do this.
Well, both of your kids are integral in the race for support reasons. They're both bringing boats back, and
yes,
they wouldn't want to talk us out of it.
Yeah, I think Bryce's main interest in helping me is to make sure the boat gets to Ketchikan, so that makes his life easier.
Yeah, that's true. And I think I kind of skipped a point. I think I wrote it in the little, quick write-up summary you're supposed to turn in with your application, was that, Willow and Bryce, they saw some stuff, but obviously they were just trying to get there, and that was the goal. And so when Tom and I, and then my daughter and I, part of it, took a leisurely trip back and stopped at Hot Springs and saw this beautiful stuff. She's like, I want to do that. So you need to do the race to get the boat there so I can bring it back in about a month.
Yeah.
So I think that added a little bit of impetus to it. I mean, maybe it was all just in joking, but yeah, showing all the pictures, all the places that she just flew by. I'm like, oh, if you'd have stopped here, that's amazing acreage. And you got a really nice beach over here. I think she is so excited. And Bryce is so excited to have the time to do all the exploring. So Tom and I really don't have any choice other than just get the boat there in one piece.
It's not the race to Alaska. We're just delivering a boat for our children to go.
Yes, that's it. And Jim is the most practical of us, I think, and the skilled. And so we kind of roped him in. Think if we're going to do this, we really need somebody who really knows their shit and knows what's going on and can get us there. He's already developed a really cool rowing station, and Tom and I guess all of us are going to work on a pedal station. So yeah, we are pretty focused on getting the boat there so the kids can leisurely take it back.
I love that full circle story of them inspiring you guys and now them helping you so they can take the leisurely stroll back down. And how do you guys know Jim? Jim, how are you pulled into all this?
I think we've all known each other since having kids, and really even probably before that, probably early 90s or mid 90s. We kind of all wound up in Bellingham together. I worked a little bit with Tom as a carpenter for a while, and Daryl. Daryl's one of those connection points where all the circles of friendships in Bellingham he seems to overlap in everybody's circle. And that's.
Have you guys ever spent as much time together in a small space like you're doing?
No, I don't think so. But
Never.
the thing is, my kids are the same age as Tom and Daryl's kids as well, and they know each other quite well. So we've done a lot of boating with Daryl's family, and kind of summer trips out to the San Juans, camping and connecting that way.
Yeah, your question is more, have we been in a tight space? Well, Tom and I have, and
Yeah.
Tom actually snores louder than me, and that's
You
saying
deny.
something. But yeah, it will be interesting because Jim and I and Tom have probably not spent that much time in a very small kind of isolated space. I don't know. I couldn't think of a better person to have on the boat. I mean, so I'm not worried about that, but I guess, we'll see if we're still friends at the end. I think in the question and the questionnaire and the application, I said, I think we'll still be friends, but I guess you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
The humor is strong amongst us. It's almost too much, but we can get serious if we have to. But I think, it's not that tight of a space. The boat we're taking
Oh,
is
yes, that's true.
not tight, which has some problems, but tightness is not going to be the problem.
Yeah,
But
if I get sick of
when
you,
we took that little boat back, the juvenile delinquents boat, I mean, that thing was lesson learned. Do not do Race to Alaska in a boat like that. Too small.
Well, was it a Santa Cruz? No.
It was a Carrera 290
That's
with
right.
about like this much vertical space inside.
30, right? Do you want to tell about the history of that boat and when you guys got it and what you've done to it? I also find it interesting that Tom and Daryl, you guys spent so long building the pedal drive for the kids, and yet you guys don't have a pedal drive on your boat. You're going oars. So explaining a little bit about that decision and all of that would be great.
I'll talk a little bit about the boat, the little that I know about it, and then maybe Tom and Jim can add in a little bit more because we are considering adding a pedal drive. I think we've made that decision. So and this alludes a little bit to what Tom was saying about space. Once I thought, yeah, we're going to do this race, I just started looking for boats. And I was kind of fixated on quarter-ton trailerable boats, just because I didn't want to have another slip. I want to park it in my backyard, so we can work on it and get it ready. And I searched a fair bit. I went to Montana and looked at boats, and I found a few. And then I kind of remember, or I do remember, there was a team that came in after Willow's and Bryce's team, but it was within a day or two. And they had like a 28 or 29-foot boat from New Zealand. Tom, you probably remember this. And we went down on that boat, and I thought, that is comfortable. I mean, they
still had beer in the cooler. It was like
it just looked like that's the boat we need. So I'm like, why am I chasing these small boats with no headroom? And so I just started looking at little bigger boats, and it was just total happenstance that this boat, the Express 30, which was built in Ontario, is a racer cruiser. So it is a cruising boat, but it's pretty stripped down. But yeah, there's standing headroom, except for Jim, obviously. But it's pretty comfortable, and it has a pretty older race pedigree, ton of sails. And I guess I didn't think too hard about how we were gonna move it when the wind wasn't blowing, but I was thinking, if the wind blows, this boat is going to sail really nicely. And it is kind of a project. It had been sitting there since COVID. I mean, so the price was right. It had this great inventory of sails. And if you could look below the grime and the dirt, it's actually a pretty nice boat. It's in pretty nice shape. And as Tom mentioned, yeah, we can get out of each other's way on this boat. We're not all going to be cramped into a little tiny cabin. So, so definitely pick this boat because it has those creature comforts that an old fart might wish they had. And then Tom or Jim, do you want to? Because they didn't really. I found the boat. I'm like, I'm buying this boat. You guys are just going to have to sail this boat. And then Tom and Jim especially started looking like, well, what's it going to take to move this boat without wind? And we had just kind of settled on oars just to keep things simple, but I think that has kind of evolved. So maybe Jim and Tom, you've been the ones that have been involved in that. I've been out of the country. So
Jim's been designing this amazing rowing station. Tell us about that, Jim.
Yeah. Well, it was sort of, I think it was hatched. The idea was hatched because none of the three of us really wanted to pedal a heavy boat to Alaska. So we had this maybe innocent and naive thought that rowing a boat to Alaska would be much more fun. But it was interesting. I mean, we're trying to figure out, like, could we use just one big sweeper in two different stations and have two people work in one big oar, but finally came up with an idea for a bow rowing station that I was able to kind of quickly put together with the help of a friend, Ron Mueller, who is an old advisor of ours who's designed and sold rowboats for over 20 years. And he said that he had a sliding seat that we could use. So we went and grabbed that and kind of made that the basis of our plan. And it came together quite quickly. It's not finished, but I built a couple of oars out of two sailboard masts that I traded for 6 packs of beer for. And with Ron's help with some epoxy advice, came up with these big oars. And our first iteration, Tom and I rode about a month ago, and he's got some app on his phone that said that we were up over a knot per hour.
Quarter.
A knot and a quarter. Imagine that. And
you're a sight to behold.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
Did I hear that right? That you made your oars out of sailboat masts?
Sailboard masts. Yes.
Board masts. Okay. Yeah, I was like, whoa. Okay. Interesting. And is it a two-person rowing station or one?
It's one.
One. Okay.
Yeah. And yesterday, Tom and I came up with we untied the boat and did another lap in the harbor. And I think little tweaks in the design made it row a knot and a half. So it's pretty good for a 9,000-pound boat.
Yeah.
And you can sustain that for like 8 minutes, I bet. And then we'll have to rotate.
It was easy for me to maintain that for 8 full minutes. Yes. So I think I could do it for 16 too, probably. But I think the other thing that we've kind of landed on is the idea that maybe it won't be all that fun to row to Alaska. So we're also I think we're pivoting now, and we're gonna invest in a rowing station off the stern as well. A pedal station off the stern. So we're assembling that in the near future.
Yeah, I would love to build another one. It was so fun engineering and building that one for the kids, but I just don't think we have the time to do that. So we're going to go down to Kmart and pick up a pedal drive and plug it in somehow.
Nice. So you guys can bond over pedal drives yet again.
That's right.
Well, we're really fortunate too. I don't know if you know, you know Craig Cooper. Of course you do. So Craig kind of set up this group within Bellingham of all the teams, just in kind of a text chat group. I think it's expanded to Anacortes now. And so he's really encouraging everybody to get together and share stuff. And Jim and Tom have been talking with another team on the Hobie 33 that have a similar pedal drive setup and have the brackets already designed. So we're able to purchase the same lower unit, which is kind of one integral piece, and probably more well tested than us kind of winging it again. And then they've also developed this nice mounting bracket, and they're just like, we could just copy their mounting bracket and stuff. So it makes it pretty easy. Like, why wouldn't we? And I think, and Jim can speak more to this because he did more research, like to start a boat that heavy with just one pedal drive, just to get the inertia, to get the boat's momentum would be pretty hard. But if we could row a bit and get that knot, and then the pedal drive kicks in, it might be a good combination. And then maybe Tom and Jim have probably thought more about this than me, but then maybe you could rotate, like, okay, we need more rowing, or we need more pedaling, or we don't need both once we've got it up to the momentum. And I think too, Tom has been really realistic. Like, we're just, I think we'll make it. We got oars, it'll probably work. And Tom's reading all this stuff and looking at other stuff, and he's going, I really want to get there within 2 weeks, And it's like, maybe we need another propulsion system. So I appreciate Tom staying on it. And it seems having the two systems gives us some redundancy. And also, I like to row more than I like to pedal. Some people like to pedal more than I like to row. So it'll work out great, I think.
Got all the options.
Yep.
I was just looking, it looks like an Olsen 30 weighs about 3,600 pounds. You said your guys' is 9? You big girl.
Yeah.
A lot of comfort.
Yeah. Anyone done it in an Express 30? I couldn't find anyone that had. I didn't know if you guys had done
it's a pretty rare boat. They're kind of hard to find. They were built in Ontario in Canada. There's not that many of them around. Just the fact that that one was sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. We'll learn. If like you sailed on the Santa Cruz, I mean, once this boat sets in, it's heavy enough that it will sail very nicely. In light winds, it still will probably sail okay. Not as fast as a Santa Cruz. But
Yeah.
but then you there were three of you on that boat and
Yeah.
without a lot of space, and you're all still good friends, and
Are.
yeah, so we'll have a little more comfort, that's for sure.
Yeah, so when I did it 2024 Sail Like a Mother, there were three of us as well. What is your guys' plan on rotation and sleep schedule? And do you guys plan to anchor when it makes sense or regularly? Kind of what's your general layout for the race?
I think we were going to ask you about the sleep schedule. I've penciled a few things out, and I've talked to a few friends that have sailed offshore, and I've sailed a bit offshore. So I have some ideas. I like the flexibility of having three people. And Jim and Tom may want to weigh in more. So we haven't decided on a deliberate schedule. I like night watches, so I'd be pretty into that. Yeah, we could definitely lean on other people's experience and advice, and maybe we have to try a couple, before the race and see how they work out. As far as the anchoring, I think we're both all in agreement. Like if if the tide changes and we didn't make it, we're not going to try and pedal or row through a big current. We'll try and find an eddy or try and find a place we can drop a hook until it goes back in our favor. I think, yeah.
We'll be anchoring,
Yeah, if we need to, we'll anchor.
not a problem.
Yeah, smart. There's just times where it makes no sense to row and go backwards, really, at the end of the day. Yeah, you mentioned Daryl, Craig, and gathering the Bellingham teams. I think there's 8 Bellingham teams this year, which is far and away, I think, more than any other town for the race. And I've been to a few little get-togethers and helping some of the teams here. Yeah, what's it been like having that camaraderie and kind of support and all of that with the local teams?
It's fun. Tom and I have been here. Daryl's been out of town for a good stretch of it, but we've been to some potlucks and really enjoyed that camaraderie. It's really a big motivator, and we look forward to feeling more of it.
And so much generosity. I mean, we're pretty much stealing the entire pedal drive system from Team Yes, at least the theory. And they seem to be in support of that. So it's super fun.
That's great. And Daryl, are you just going to show up like the week before the race and jump aboard, or?
Pretty much. I've told him I feel like I'm missing out. So I love this kind of stuff. And Jim says there'll be lots of time. I'll be back May 1st, and I pretty much blocked out. I have a few other small things, but till the race starts, I'll be working on the boat, and hopefully I'll get a chance to meet the other teams and pick their brains and get more ideas. But yeah, I'm very excited to come home. I'll just be myself. My spouse won't be coming home at that time, so I can kind of lean into it. Got a long list on the boat. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the progress that Jim and Tom have made, and look forward to making those friendships. I think that's what, I don't know, that was a big tug to my heart when you watched all these teams getting ready for the race and everybody was so supportive of everybody else. I'm like, I love that. I want that. Like, it's just so cool, and it's kind of rare, on something that scale. But yeah, running around the docks in Victoria and everybody trying to help each other, and in Anacortes, it was pretty amazing.
And even afterwards, say like that community, like it's just, it goes on and on and on. You get done with the race and you have this network of amazing people, and I feel like that just continues after the race too, which is pretty dang special.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, do you guys have some final last words, people to thank? Questions? Do you guys need anything for the boat? It's a great opportunity to kind of put it out there. If you need help, you need sales, you need whatever. Here's your time to ask.
Gosh.
I wanted to put out that a good friend of mine is he's a medical guy, and he does wilderness first aid training tailored towards marine emergencies. And I'm trying to set up, this is something for the Bellingham people, maybe like a day or two of just some like hardcore medical training, if anyone's interested in that. Hopefully that plan's going to develop in the next week or so, and we can get something on the schedule if people want to be prepared for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
I'm really thankful that they actually let us in the race. I mean, I got all excited about it, and I got excited about finding a boat. And then I thought, well, what if we don't get in the race? And then somebody told me, hey, they've got a lot of people applying. You better get your application. And then at that point, I thought, man, we might not even get chosen. So I was very excited when I got the email from Verity and the race boss, Jesse. And so that just, yeah, as soon as that happened, I just felt, man, this is it. It's going to happen. So I want to thank, I guess, everybody who organizes this event. And I got to say, I reread this stuff. It is so funny. And yeah, I send stuff to friends who know nothing about sailing. So you should read this because it's really funny, and people all concur. This is a pretty cool event that's run with a great sense of support and humor, and I really appreciated that part of it. So
Yeah, likewise here too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the explosion of applications and stuff kind of goes to show that they're doing a good job. They're just in. I think there's a lot of international entries this year too. So it's taken off.
It's
So
so impressive. We're just like, it's like right out our back door, basically. The race practically goes by my house.
yeah. Well, thanks you guys so much. It's always fun to chat and hear. And your guys' the boat's in the water right now, right? Sounds like it. You were out rowing.
It is.
Good. I look forward to seeing you guys rowing around the harbor and working on the pedal drive. And holler if you need an extra hand. Happy to help out.
Thank you, Katie. It's very nice of you to take this on.
It's nice to see you as we go by in Bella Bella.
That's it. You made it through another hour and a half of the Race to Alaska podcast. Thank you for being here. Go to R2AK.com for all the details. Email podcast@R2AK.com with questions, comments, jokes, anything like that. And we'll see you next week.